Hello friends, my name is Mayank Divedi. Today we are going to talk about Indus Valley Civilization or the Harappan Civilization. The whole Harappan Civilization will be covered in several parts. Today we are going to get an overview of Harappan Civilization, the people who discovered the Harappan Civilization, how it got discovered. So let's start the Harappan Civilization. In 1826, a deserter from East India Company, Charles Manson, found the remains of Harappan civilizations first, and in 1872, Alexander Cunningham, who was the director of ASI, authorized the excavation of Harappan site. The excavation of Harappan site was completed by Dayaram Sahni in 1920. The excavation of Mohenjo-daro was started by R.D. Banerjee in 1924, and the formal announcement was made by John Marshall in 1924. That's why the credit of discovery of Indus Valley Civilization goes to John Marshall. Whenever there is a question, who discovered the Harappan civilization, the answer will be John Marshall, etc. But that's the answer. At that time, John Marshall compared it with Mesopotamian and Egyptian civilization. In his report on Mohenjo-daro, Marshall asserted that the Indus Valley civilization must have had a long antecedent history on the soil of India. Basically, because there was no carbon dating available at that time, so Mr. John Marshall compared it with Mesopotamian and Egyptian civilization. During that period, there were some more discoveries like Kadal Hayuk, which was about 7th millennium BC, which is in Turkey, Jericho, 8th millennium BC, Jordan Valley, Mayan civilization, which is in Mesoamericans, and Inca civilization, which is in Peru. A relatable fact about Inca civilization is they do not have any true writing, whereas each of the above civilization had their own writing system. Some other relatable facts like earliest attempt to define cities. V. Gordon Slade in 1950, he gave a 10-pointer system to define cities in which agriculture, object, trade, population, community, group of people, monuments, social reforms, social relations, and writing and numerical relations were given. Second was Gideon Sedgwick, which was in 1964. He emphasized the close connection between the history of cities and the rise and fall of the empires. He also gave a similar pattern, which was a political control, social organization, stability necessary for development of trade and commerce, concentration of population, exchange of goods, elite class, and intellectual and commercial activities. So, in actual case, it's a complex phenomena have been involved in conjunction of various factors such as social, political, ideological, economic, and technical, etc. So, there is a question, why Marshall linked it with Mesopotamian? Okay, sir, Marshall linked it with Mesopotamian because of the urban settlements, seals found at the sites, Mohenjo-daro, and the terracotta cakes, which are also found in Mesopotamian civilization, excavation of Mesopotamian civilization, and pottery. The pottery is kind of similar in both cases. The Harappan pottery is a bit refined. Let's talk about the borders of the Harappan civilization. The northernmost site is Manda, which is in Jammu and Kashmir. Southernmost site is in Gujarat, Surat, which is in Malwan, Gujarat, Surat. Westernmost site is Sudgajendor, which is Markan, Pakistan. Easternmost site is Alamgirpur, which is in Saharanpur, Uttar Pradesh. One isolated site, which is in Afghanistan, Sautugai, River Saraswati, which is considered as Khagar plus Harakka. These are some facts which you should remember for future lectures. So another question arises here. Why should we call it an Harappan site? This question is for new discoveries. So basically, there is a checklist which archaeologists prefer. First is pottery. Harappan pottery is red and design painted on black and has a certain range of forms and motifs. Material trade associated with Harappan civilization include terracotta cake pieces, etc. Brick size, which is in ratio of 1:2:4. Certain types of stones and copper artifacts, because lot of chalcolithic sites have the same. Different type of beads and jewelry. Let's get familiar with some origin theories. There are some archaeologists which are known as diffusionists, like E.J.H. Mackay, who said migration of people of Sumer, which is the southern part of Mesopotamia, may have led to Harappan civilization. Second one is D.H. Gordon, also suggested the same. Third one is S.N. Kramer. Fourth one is Mortimer Wheeler. The common thing is all of them are Westerners who suggested that the people of Sumer or people of other civilization moved towards the Indian subcontinent and the Harappan civilization emerged. Then there are people like Amalanda Ghosh, who was the first archaeologist in 1965, who found the similarities between pre-Harappan civilization and mature Harappan civilization and the continuation of Harappan civilization from proto to urban, and Ghosh focused on Soti culture of Rajasthan, which is proto-Harappan civilization, and asserted that there are similarities between Soti and Johab pottery. Another archaeologist, which is considered the greatest archaeologist in case of Harappan civilization or Indus Valley civilization, M.R. Mughal, in 1977, he did first comprehensive analysis of evidences from pre-Harappan sites in Balochistan, and he compared the whole range of evidences such as pottery, stone tools, metal artifacts, architectures, etc., and found that increased level of craft specialization in mature Harappan sites. Then pre-Harappan sites, and the general range of Harappan site is around 3200 BC to 2600 BC, which is early, and the pottery was wheel made, painted, and it was similar to polychrome ware of Nal, which is in Khozdar region of Baluchistan, and there are similarities between Nal and Amri. Some important Harappan sites: Amri, Kodiji, Mehergarh, Nausaro, Dera Jata, Kumla, Rahman Dihri, Tarkakai, Kuila, Sarikola, Dalwali, Gamanwala, these all in Pakistan, and the famous one Kali Bagan and Rakhigari, which is in India. So till now, what we got as an overview that Harappan civilization, which flourished for more than 1000 years, post-Indian history back about 2000 years, because till that time, till 1920s, it was considered that Indian history was still Mauryans. When the discovery of Harappan civilization happened, it post-Indian history 2000 years back, and more than 1400 Harappan settlements have been discovered till date, and they covered an extensive area of about 1.3 million square kilometers. And the origin of Indus Valley Civilization is historical controversy. Let's talk about factors responsible for controversies related to the origin of Harappan civilization, mature phase of towns and cities in archaeological excavation, and these limited evidences have been interpreted differently by different scholars. Most of the archaeological evidences focused on discovering the horizontal expansion of Harappan sites, then the vertical excavation, and the vertical excavation was quite limited. Many prominent cities lie submerged, example Mohenjo-daro, since of sufficient evidences. There are some other theories like theory of sudden origin or foreign origin, which was given by John Marshall, R.A.M. Wheeler, V. Gordon Slade. They said the people of Sumeria or Sumer or southern Mesopotamia came and they have the knowledge of cities and towns, so they settled in Indian subcontinent, and Harappan civilization emerged rapidly in a short term of 500 years. This time was estimated by keeping in mind 7 stratigraphic levels discovered at Mohenjo-daro. Such development was possible if makers had prior knowledge of cities. As I told, the English or Western historians, archaeologists didn't thought that there was a civilization which flourished for more than 4000 years, and the civilization was in its early phase during 4000 BC and got matured. So what were the supporting evidences or basis of these theories? There are similarities between Mesopotamian and Harappan civilization. Both civilizations were urban, both used seals, and some of Mesopotamian seals were found in Harappan civilization. Both have pictographic script and both used potter's wheel, and basically both have wheel turned pottery. Both civilizations are of Bronze era and both have burned bricks. Basically both are contemporary. Let's critically examine this theory, because this theory considered just superficial similarities. Though both civilizations were urban, but Harappan civilization was well planned, whereas in Mesopotamian civilization the growth was haphazard and both were picographical, but Harappan civilization had 390 and Mesopotamian civilization has 900 signs, and both were quite different. Let's talk about seals found. In case of Harappan civilization, seals were lateral in shape and made of steelite, which is a soft stone. In case of Mesopotamian civilization, seals were cylindrical and made of clay. So Harappans have better seal than Mesopotamians. Pottery, both use potter's wheel, but they have different kind of pottery, as Harappan civilization used red pottery with black paint and black motifs. Burnt bricks. Harappan's bricks were larger than Mesopotamian bricks. Bronze. The Harappan civilization has inferior quality of bronze than the Mesopotamian. So from this, we can consider that the both civilizations were not the work of same people, but they can be contemporary, they can have trade relations. Then there is a theory number 2, Aryan origin theory, which was given by T.N. Ramchandran, A.D. Pushkal, S.N. Rao, K.N. Shastri. According to this theory, Harappan civilization was built by Aryans, and it emphasized similarities between Vedic Aryans and Harappan civilization. Both occupied same geographical area. For example, Bhagwanpurwa site, which has evidences of both Vedic age and Harappan civilization. Both practiced agriculture and both worshipped fire. Animal worship was carried out by both. And let's do a critical examination of this theory. This theory was never taken seriously by most scholars because of cultural difference between Harappan civilization and the Vedic civilization. Let's talk about lifestyle. Vedic Aryans were nomads and Harappans were living a settled life. Vedic were living in a more rural society and Harappans were living in cities, towns for economy. Vedic Aryans were pastoral and agriculture. Harappans were agricultural, secondary, plus they have tertiary economic activities, trade and commerce, and script. Vedic Aryans do not have script in early Vedic age, whereas Harappan civilization were aware of script, worship. Vedic Aryans hated Palus and Harappan civilization worshipped Palus. And sacred animals, Vedic Aryan worshipped cow and Harappan civilization worshipped bull. So now let's get into the real part, which is a theory of gradual evolution. This theory is based on latest scientific researches and recent archaeological excavation in northern western part of India. or Indian subcontinent have successfully discovered the antecedent communities and cultures of great Harappan civilization. The gradual evolution of these communities over the period of more than 3000 years resulted in emergence of Harappan civilization. This theory is supported by archaeological discoveries done by archaeologists such as Walter A. Pearsaves, G. F. Stale, Ian Gose, Stuart Piggott, Raymond Piggott, and Muhammad Rafiq Mughal, M.R. Mughal. According to these archaeological evidences, number of small communities like Kulu, Johab, Nal, Quetta were living in the northern western part of Indian subcontinent in 6th millennium BC. These communities were small in size, represented a very early stage of human life, and their economy was subsistence. The evidence of this phase of human life have been found at Mehergarh, valley of river Bolan, which is in Baluchistan. It flourished in 7000 BC. Mehergarh was semi-arid region, low on natural resources. So people of Mehergarh migrated to the valley of the river Indus, and the Indus Valley provided them an extensive fertile land, which is alluvial land, and perennial sources of water, plenty of natural resources such as timber, minerals. The favorable conditions gave boost to the process of evolution, and by the middle of 4th millennium BC, towns like Amiri, which is close to Baluchistan on the bank of Indus River, and Kot Dizzi, which is in Sindh, Pakistan, emerged. The process of gradual evolution resulted in agriculture surplus around 2800 BC. By this time, people started using copper tools, and the availability of agriculture surplus paved the way for rapid progress of field in art and craft, trade and commerce, which led to the emergence of number of art and crafts and trade and commerce centers. These urban settlements symbolized the emergence of Harappan civilization. A balance involving agriculture surplus, art and craft, and trade and commerce prepared material basis for Harappan civilization. Till that time this balance remained infant, the civilization continued to flourish. In the beginning, the Harappan people traded with nearby people, so it was local and regional, and by around 2300 BC, Harappans started trading with Mesopotamian people, which is showed in the record of Mesopotamia, and where the Harappans are mentioned at Maluhas. The balance of Harappan external trade was highly favorable. That is a positive because Harappan exported the primary and secondary goods, and they imported gold, silver, and semi-precious stones, and this inflow of foreign wealth carried and prosperity of Harappan cities to the great heights, and the civilization reached its mature state. Harappa and Mohenjo-daro were mega cities of Harappan civilization during this period. So this is all for today, guys. Tomorrow we will discuss about the characteristic and features of Harappan civilization, nature of Harappan civilization. We will discuss the municipality system of Harappan civilization. We will discuss the materialistic outlook of Harappan civilization, and we will discuss about some Harappan sites. Then we will start the decline of Harappan civilization. Thank you. Have a good day.